Morning, everyone. Today is Thursday, the 8th of June, and we are here to talk about the HR tab in Dash. We're going to touch a little bit upon employee self-service, and I'm also going to, if we have time, review HR Support Center and HR On Demand. These are things that a lot of people have asked about recently, and I really feel like it's worth repeating. It's important to let you know you've got this fabulous resource that can be given to you if only you know that it's there. And so that's why I'm repeating this training, as we have done this before, but I'm hopeful that I'll be able to enlighten you with some new things that you didn't hear about before. So with that, the screen here is your landing page. And by the way, we would love feedback as to whether or not you are enjoying these little announcements here that we're putting on your Dash landing page, just to let you know that we've got lots of options. This is a payroll company that really believes in making your life easier. And if we can give you things at your fingertips that you don't have to go to several different websites to find, we are happy to do that. And part of that is making you aware of what is available. So this month we are talking about human resources, so it's timely that we're doing this webinar. So you might recognize this landing page. This is where you log into Dash. And along this blue ribbon here are all of the services that you might or might not have. Your basis, of course, are your Documents tab, where you can go to your payroll documents and your tax documents. And of course, your employees are all here listed by alphabetical order by last name. And if you see too many employees, you think, oh, gee, how come I have all these employees? Well, that might be because you haven't hit the active employees and done the search for that. When you hit active, it eliminates those employees who you have deactivated in the system. Of course, you never want to delete them. You just want to make them inactive for whatever reason. Maybe they're on medical leave, or perhaps they've terminated. And there's a place in Dash that Charles has trained on before where you can find how to deactivate employees, except they don't show up in your payroll and accidentally get paid. Okay, and then the next thing you might see here would be your reporting tab that Charles has gone over a lot, and he tells you how to get certain reports and how to do a report range, like for example, the labor distribution report for your workers' compensation audits, and of course the payroll page. If you're processing your own payroll, this is where you start. And then if you have time and attendance, that would be here. And then we will cover the HR Support Center as well. But for today's webinar, we're going to talk about the HR tab. This is on everybody's account. If you don't see it, call us and we'll make sure that we activate it, okay? Because this is included in your payroll. On this tab, you will see places where you can put documents that you might have in a filing cabinet, or you can put things in here that are new. Maybe you are starting a review type of procedure with your employees, and here is where you can put those reviews. Say, for example, let's give us an example of a real employee here. Let's go with Johnny Appleseed. Say, for example, it's time. Johnny's been with you for a long time, and you've never given a performance review to Johnny, and so you're going to start doing that. And so the best thing to do is to write up your review, create a copy. If you're doing it virtually, of course, send it off to that person so that they can review it. Your notes can be put here. You can have your notes. You can also put in the comments that the employee might be making, like, thanks for the great review, or gee, I don't agree with that assessment. This is an opportunity for you to document everything so you keep it handy. And it's not sitting on a desk, or if you're working from home, your dining room table. Not a good idea. This is also the place where you can upload the documents. So say you've got a review form that they need to sign. This is a place where you could upload them. When it's time to upload it, you would add the document and it would be stored here electronically and also password protected, because you're the only one who goes into that system, or whomever else is an authorized user. Sometimes you need to warn an employee, and that's where you would put those notes. It says when it was issued, what the action was, do they have an opportunity to improve, and you want to make sure that you document all that there too. If you're in California, it's an extremely litigious state, and they are very employee friendly. So if there's anything that you need to document, more is better than less. Everything you have said, every meeting you've had really should be documented, and here's a place to keep it safely. And of course, appraisals. Appraisals are different from reviews. Reviews are usually what happens on maybe an annual or semi-annual basis. An appraisal might happen after they've been there 30 days or 90 days, and you can have a look at how they're performing for you. If you have a company where they are required to have a license for certain activities, maybe a driver, you want to make sure you have their current driver's license on file. And if you do have that driver's license, you can say when it was issued, when it expires, and you can create a note that will remind you that that license is going to expire. And those notifications can be put on your home page. So when you go here, there's a place for notifications right here, and it will remind you that Johnny Appleseed's license is about to expire. Same holds true with certifications. So maybe you've got employees that need to be certified in a certain activity. Maybe you've got people who are certified in CPR. That's good to know. And so it's a good idea to keep that information handy and on the employee record. You can do the drop-down menu if it's not for Johnny, maybe it's for somebody else. You, of course, can put in that employee record as well. Maybe there are certain skill sets. Maybe you're looking for somebody who can do sign language, or maybe they're bilingual. These are skill sets that are important to know, especially if your company is large. Say you've got somebody on the telephone. We had this happen actually yesterday. Somebody called in. They were Spanish speaking with broken English, and they needed some help. And we only have one person on our staff who is fluent in Spanish, and she happened to not be in that day. If we had somebody else who was also Spanish fluent, we would have been able to help that client who called. So what we need to do is call her back today when our Spanish speaking person is here. And many companies are offering that as an option to their clients. We actually don't have that as a formal option, but fortunately, we do have someone on our staff who does speak Spanish fluently. And if she were in, we would have been able to help her at that very moment. But through some of us with broken Spanish, we were able to let her know that we would call her today. Training. This is where you would put your anti-sexual harassment training. We would create a code for you. It would go in the drop-down menu. You can describe it any way that will help you remember. Everyone is required, no matter how many employees you have, unless they're officers, of course, only, to take this anti-sexual harassment training once a year. And the employees do it for 1 hour, and employees have to do the training for 2. And here is where you can drop down and say, okay, what's the status? When did they last take it? What is their level, management or regular staff? When was it completed? And what is the renewal frequency? I may have misspoke. I think that's every 2 years. So here's a good place to keep that information. We do know that there is a link through the Department of Housing and Employment. I think I have that right. And that link does have the training. The caveat to that is there's no time limit. In other words, they could breeze through everything and not really get trained. And there's no certification at the end that gives you a certificate saying you actually completed it. There are other options that are free. And also next week, Linda Duffy is going to be with us, and I'm going to ask her to review what her company offers as well. So you'll get more information on that next week. But these are important things to keep up with. Sometimes you have benefits, employee benefits, which, by the way, PayrollCentric can help you with if you're deciding to enhance your offerings from your company. And those employee benefits can be documented up here. Whether it's insurance, you can also put their dependent information in here. That's helpful if you're ever doing a request for a new quote. All their dependent information is already there so that you can gather that information when you send things out for a request for proposal. ACA coverage, that's the California, or excuse me, the American California, yeah, that is the California insurance coverage. If they have that instead of something that you offer, you can put that in. And at the end of the year, we help you get those reports done. And then there's also 401k and 401k funds. Those are things to keep track of as well. Sometimes we have general documents. Those general documents might be uploading their offer letter, or perhaps they've resigned and you want to keep that letter on file. You can upload that as well. So it's a good place to house those documents rather than in a filing cabinet. Leave of absence, there's the regular leave of absence, and then of course there's the family leave. Perhaps they're taking maternity or paternity leave if you offer that. We can put in the codes for you and the description, and if you have documents that support that leave, you can upload them here. The one that I really like here is company assets. If your staff is working off-site remotely, you might want to keep track of if they have a computer, if they have a monitor, if they have other equipment like a cell phone that you're paying for. You might want to keep that asset code here, what it is that they actually have, and when they received it, and if they leave the company, when they returned it. You can put in that value, but you're not allowed to take the value away from them from their final check. If in fact they do not return it, you can just make their life kind of uncomfortable by reminding them they need to send it back to you. And you can also make notes, like for example, my computer screen when I received it had a scratch in it. And so I asked the company to note that the scratch was there when I got it and that I didn't damage the monitor. And so they were happy to do that. And then, of course, documents. You might have had them sign, I've received XYZ pieces of equipment. You can upload that here so you know what you really want to get back when it's time. All those things are able to be input here by whomever has the rights to enter things in Dash for you. All right. The other thing that would be another is workers' compensation. If there is a workers' compensation claim, that is something that happens once in a while. You've got an OSHA claim. If you're working in the office and you find that you have a lot of slip and falls, for example, they're slipping in the coffee room by the water cooler because it's dripping, that is a good thing to note that you can do something to mitigate that risk. Like let's put a rubber mat in front of the water cooler so that the water doesn't make you slip. If you have an audit, you can tell your workers' comp auditor that we mitigated this risk. We had a couple of claims. We decided that it was important to stop that. And so it is really good to have that available to you so you can see what happened to the employee. If there is a consistent problem that maybe people are having back issues, maybe you need to look into ergonomic chairs, maybe you need to have an ergonomic assessment. If you find that there's a trend, it's information for you, and not only just keeping track of what's going on, but you can have a look, do a report against it, and see what seems to be the problem here. How do we fix it? So that's the basics of the HR tab. Does anybody have any questions before I move on to the next item? I don't see any in the chat. Feel free to type away. Okay, well, if you think of something, put it in there and we'll take a look at the end. All right, the next item I want to be able to show you is employee self-service. Now, employee self-service is an option that you can purchase. It's very inexpensive. It's only 55 cents for each employee. And what that means is the employee will have an opportunity to retrieve their own documents, for example, their W-2 or their pay stubs. That means that you would not have to be printing pay stubs or pay for delivery, which is expensive, of those pay stubs, especially if everybody's got direct deposit. You could empower your employees to take care of it themselves, which is kind of a cool idea. It does save you money in the long run. You know, most of our deliveries now are like $18 every pay period, and that runs into a whole lot of money if you're a weekly payroll. And so here's a chance to save you that money. 55 cents nowadays is less than a postage stamp. What happens here is this is where you as the manager can go in and put different pieces of information in to pull up what you need. The employee, if they decide to register for employee self-service, would receive an email that looks like this. And that would come from you. We provide you with this registration form. Let me make it a little larger so you can read it. There we go. And what it does is it gives the employee instructions on how to register for employee self-service in the first place. And we fill out this part for you, your company ID, and then the employee would fill out their last name, the last for their social, their zip code, and et cetera. And they would be sent to a link that will give them the opportunity to register for employee self-service. It's their own private portal. They set up their own username and password, and then they can go in there whenever they want to, and they can manage their information and retrieve documents. Again, saving you money on delivery. These instructions are pretty clear, but we also have videos that can show the employee how to do that. In fact, on most of our accounts on the home page, let me scroll back up to here. Where's my home page? Let's go back. Give me just a second so I can get there. Hello, Saundra. I'm going to log out and log back in again because I seem to have lost my home page. Oh, pickles. Oh my goodness, I'm sorry. Let's see what we can do about that. Well, I have tried too many times and I've lost Dash. Let's go back here. Here we go. Homepage. All right. So what was I saying? On the homepage, you will find a place to get to employee self-service for yourself. You can also have a look at your dashboards, and there, see this little link here called links? Most of our clients have the employee self-service links uploaded to their account. You might not even know that those exist. I have to tell you, I've been here for 2 years and I only discovered the link about a year ago. So there are things that if you, for example, see a training that we've done on maybe manual checks, and it's something that you always need assistance with, you could go to our PayrollCentric presentations website and you can find that manual check training, and you can copy the link and upload it to the Dash system under the links link on here. If you need help, of course, give us a call and we'll help you do that. But as you can see in our demo, we've got quite a few links, and here's one of the ESS ones. There's 3 different ESS videos that you can watch on how to obtain your pay stubs, how to get your W-2s, and how to enroll. They're all right here. And we've uploaded that, I think, to all of our accounts. If you don't have that, let us know and we'll make sure it gets done. So let's go back to employee self-service. On employee self-service, you'll be able to find the different management tools that are needed for you to be able to help your employee change their password, give you an opportunity to either activate or deactivate that particular client employee, so they're on a leave of absence. And your user administration gives you the ability to do that. Let's go to Johnny, because we see that Johnny's enrolled in employee self-service. And I clicked on his name, and that's a common mistake. If you click on the name rather than somewhere in that lined field, you're going to get to the employee record. But we really don't want to do that. We want to be able to get to the employee self-service management part where you can change his password or whatever. So instead of clicking on his name, you want to click somewhere in the field other than the name. And that will take you to the employee self-service. Would like to ensure ESS's user account. Okay. Yes, the operation cannot be undone. Oh, pickles. What did I do? Cancel. Don't you know why we absolutely have to have Charles here? Because he's so good at this. Okay, here we go. Here's Johnny Appleseed's account. He is currently enabled because he's not on medical leave or he hasn't left the company. And so if they were to leave, or if they were going to go on a leave of absence for a while, you would want to disable that account because they shouldn't be doing anything on their computer while they're on a medical leave. Or if they've left your company, of course, you can disable it after a period of time. Many companies have like a 60-day window where they can go in and get all their documentation before their account is disabled and they would not have access. If they call and they say, oh my gosh, I don't remember my password, well, here's an opportunity to be able to change the password. And you would give them a temporary password, send it off to the employee, and then you would also click the box that says they must change their password when they open up ESS, and that will give them the chance to put in their own personal password rather than one that you have assigned temporarily. You also have their email address here. You can save their email. And we had a question recently whether or not a blast email could be sent to your employees through Dash. The only way that we can do that is if you are enrolled in employee self-service. And if you see all these black X's, that means that they have currently enrolled, and those would be the only people who would receive your blast email. Thus, if you do have employee self-service, we encourage you to get 100% participation so that you can do those blast emails. It's a special training. We can do that if you have an interest in that on another day. I do not know how, so I'm not the one to show you, but Charles would be. Okay, so we talked about that. We talked about how to look at their view. If the employee is looking to go into their own personal dash, let me get to where that would be. If I log out, I'm afraid to log out because if I log out, then I might not be able to get back in again. Let me go here. I'm going to show you my personal, what the employee would see. Now, we also have timekeeping, so our web clock is here. But when it comes to the information that employee self-service has, they put in their name, they put in their social security number, and also, their status. If you are keeping track, if you are hiring veterans, there is a tax benefit for hiring veterans. So you might want to have this as a field that's required for them to complete so that you can keep track of that. In employee self-service, you can also keep track of time off. You can also make changes. I'm not going to go to my pay history, but you can also make changes. So I would have the chance to make changes so that my supervisor could approve my change just to make sure that everybody is aware. So I might have moved, or I might have a change in my dependents. So like on the personal tab, I can go to my dependents, or I could go to my emergency contacts. I could make that change and save it, and you would get a notification as the employer that something has changed. We normally ask that you don't allow the employee to change their taxes on their own because you need to be aware of that for payroll purposes. So that's a tab that they have, but they would have to let you know that they've changed their status, like maybe they've got another dependent, or perhaps they're no longer single, they're now married, and they need to change their withholding. Also, your direct deposits, they are able to put in their own direct deposit information, and they can also split their paychecks. So say they maybe want 50% of their paycheck to go to another account. That's their bill paying account, and they want $100 every time to go into savings account. They can actually do that themselves, and then you'll see that notification when you go to process your payroll so that everything goes to the right place at the right time. And then, of course, they'll keep track of pay rates. Of course, they can't change that, but you'll be able to put that in and they can know what they're making. This comes in handy with people looking to make a move to a new apartment, applying for a loan or a mortgage. They can go in and retrieve those 6 months worth of pay stubs on their own rather than taking your time. All right, so that takes care of employee self-service. That also takes care of the HR tab and Dash. Now, another thing that does come up a lot is, do we have HR services? Yes, we do. The HR Support Center is a really cool way to not have to hire an HR professional on your team. Of course, there's salary to be considered. There's loading that salary to cover taxes and benefits you might have. This site they've done all the Google searches for you. And the Google searches, like maybe you don't know how to terminate an employee. So you go into Google and you go to the Department of Labor and you say, okay, how do I terminate an employee? Well, they've already done that for you. And so, for example, let's go to the termination part. And they will tell you what you need to do. What is the documentation that you need? How much documentation do you need? Is at-will employment, how does that protect me? What kind of a script would you need in order to tell somebody that they're no longer going to be employed by your company? There are a lot of articles. There are calculators that you can calculate a final paycheck. We can also help you with that, of course. But this is kind of doing all those Google searches to, you don't have to waste your time. It's already been done for you. There are laws at a glance, both federal and state laws. And then there's a learning center. Maybe you've been thrown into the HR world and you've never done this before and you're not quite sure what your job is. Well, 2-Minute HR. There's little short videos for you. There are articles you can read. There's training on demand. So say you want to know how to fill out an app, to review an application. What kind of things do I need to look for when somebody's applied for employment? Those videos and those trainings are right here at your fingertips. There are also tools like an employee handbook. Maybe you don't have an employee handbook and you're thinking maybe you should do that. There's an express wizard here, and this wizard will get you started. You just they ask you a few questions like what state are you in? How many employees do you have? And then it will ask you to complete the questions. And for example, when do you want to start? What is your organization's name? Is there anything special that you want to tell about the organization's history? Maybe there's a mission statement that you want included. You complete all this stuff, and then you keep on moving through the system. It goes to, the HR people on this website, and they will create this handbook for you and send it back to you for review. Now, one of the things you need to know is this handbook is going to be United States or federally compliant. If you live in a specific area of California, or if you live just in California, the thing you would have to do is upgrade in order for the handbook to be California state compliant. I'll explain that in a moment. But nevertheless, it really is a good tool to have, even if you just want to get the basics going and you can add whatever you know to be true in California on your own, you can do that. There are documents available. There are letters. There are job descriptions. Maybe you want to hire a new office manager. You've never done that before. And so you'd like to see, well, okay, how do I hire an administrative manager? I click here, and there are a couple of different job descriptions that might work. I'm going to click on administrator. I can do a preview of what that job description might look like. And then you can edit it, make it specific to your company, and then save it. And now you've got a job description that you can upload to Indeed or whatever other websites there are that you're using. So that is helpful for you as well. Documents, there are checklists. So maybe you've hired somebody new and you don't really have a checklist. You might forget something as they get hired onto your company. So you might want to look at one of those. There are also letters. We talked about termination, and there are termination letters that say exactly what you might need to say. Some people have said that they have had people not show up when they got hired, and so they've abandoned the job. Now what do you do, right? Well, right here is a termination letter that say that they didn't show up, therefore you've abandoned the job. We don't owe you any money. You never worked. You can't sue us. Some of these people are going on Indeed and applying for multiple jobs, getting offers from multiple jobs, accepting the offers, but then they get one that's better and they go on to another job and never let you know. So you think they're supposed to show up and they don't. That seems to be what's going on today. So this letter is very handy. Now, these 5 tabs here are only $20 every pay period. And if you choose to update, it would be a little bit more to be able to ask the pro. Now, if you have a weekly pay period, we only charge this every other pay period. So that would end up being $40 a month. If you decide that you want to ask a pro and be able to speak with somebody, that's the upgrade. And if you want to ask a question of them, you can chat, you can call, or you can email. So say you've got a handbook that needs to be reviewed, you can upload that document, they can review it for you, and they have a promise that they'll get back to you in 1 business day. This was a really very popular website during the COVID era because they were answering all the dynamic changes that was going on in the COVID realm. And so you would get an answer from them in 2 to 3 business days because they were really quite overwhelmed. But this is an opportunity for you to speak to somebody who is an HR pro, who knows what they're talking about. You don't have to pay the salary of that pro. So, that monthly fee is a lot less than having to hire somebody. And it also is a risk mitigation for you. You don't want to make a mistake when it comes to HR. And this is a tool that you can use so that you can be knowledgeable and have somebody who has your back. The upgrade is $35 every other month, every other week, or $70 a month. So it's either 40 or 70. It includes the $70 includes all these tabs. And then the additional tab is the upgrade of 35. Now, there's no contract. So you can use this as long as you need it. And then if you say, you know what, I'm good, I don't need it anymore, we'll take it off your account. We hope that you keep it for a while, though, because our clients who do have it have found it really useful. So does that sound like a sales pitch? It absolutely is. But we are trying to help you have everything in one place so that you're not scrambling at the last minute, like, oh my gosh, I've never terminated anybody, or oh my gosh, I've never hired anybody. What do I need to do? So this is something for you. And it also might also enhance, if you've got an HR person, that might enhance their knowledge base. So it's something that you can use all the time. Okay, I think I have covered everything I need to cover for you. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat. I don't see any, but I also want to let you know of our upcoming things. I'm referring to our email that I send out. Next week, Charles is going to be here, and he's going to be talking about how to audit items in payroll. In other words, what if you think you made a mistake and you're looking for an error? How do you get that report on how to fix that? And so Charles, of course, our expert, will be here, and he'll be showing you that. On the 22nd, I'm delighted to tell you that Linda Duffy is coming back. And there has been a change in the I-9 verification process. She's going to explain to you what that change is and what it means for you, because you might have been doing your I-9s virtually all this time. That is about to end. And she's going to tell you how to do the workaround and what is going to be needed moving forward. And then our webinars are going to be dark on the 29th and the 6th because of the July 4th holiday. We'll probably have 1 or 2 webinars after that, and then we'll go dark through the summer because we have a lot of people going on vacation, and I would like to be able to give our own team a rest so that they can enjoy their vacations as well. Does anybody have any questions or any comments or concerns? Can I answer anything or make anything more clear? I'm happy to do that. Anybody? Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining today. I'm really grateful that you did join us. And I know that you take time out of your day to do that for us. So welcome to PayrollCentric. Thank you for being a part of our family. And also, thanks for the comment. Thank you so much. I miss Charles when he's not here. So thank you. Enjoy your day, everyone. And bye-bye for now.